that's the room where the shelving unit that is empty is.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Melinda, plain and simple.
It's Tuesday, and that means it's time for another Tiny Tidy. For today's Tiny Tidy, I decided to follow up on my Friday video. In that one, I emptied out a shelf down in my basement, and so now today for the Tiny Tidy, I'm going to be filling that shelf back up. So if you've got something that you want to do around your house, if you want to tidy up something, declutter something, clean something, organize something, or just kick back and relax, grab your stuff and come on, and we'll do this together. Tiny Tidy Tuesdays is an open collab hosted by Sunday Dawn from The Helpful Home, and I'll have a link in the description box below so you can check out her channel, and I'll also have a link to the playlist so you can watch all the other Tiny Tidies. And for those of you who are interested, stick around to the end so you can hear today's decluttering poem. Hey guys, I'm back down here in my basement once again, and this time I am going to be filling up these shelves that I emptied out the other day in my Friday video. And this is what I am going to be putting in those shelves. Some of the books that I have already gone through, they're out here in another room in the basement. That's the room where the shelving unit that is empty is. Since I already have some cleaning supplies and things down here on this lower shelf, I'm going to move some of the cleaning things that I have in a couple of other shelves over here with that and kind of get that stuff all together, because you can see this whole shelf is full of cleaning things, and this box here has some cleaning things in it as well. I also put some bins and baskets over here. These are some things that I use as I'm doing my decluttering. Eventually, I won't need to keep all of those things around, but for now, they do come in handy, so I'm just going to leave those down there. But you can see over here, I emptied a couple of these shelves out, putting them over there, and then I moved some of the stuff that was up in there over into here. So now the empty shelves are those two, and then I'll show you the end result of this shelf as well. This is the one that was empty, but now it is full of books. Almost. There's an empty shelf, so that's a good thing. And I am going to be decluttering this book. It is called The Locky Who Couldn't Stop Screaming, A Christmas Story. So I'm going to take this one upstairs and read it, and then I am going to go ahead and pass it on to someone else so they can enjoy it. But you can see in my books here, down in this shelf, see that jar? It is separating some of the books that I just want to read them and then pass them on. And then these are ones that I probably will maybe keep a little bit more long term. After I finished with my decluttering, I went down in the basement and I grabbed a few of the books off of the shelf, read them, and now I am ready to let them go. So I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more books that I am letting go of. So that makes 9 books in my declutter pile for today. I already had today's video finished, except for the poem. I still haven't written the poem, but I have started one. But anyway, when I finished editing it, it was like really short. So I thought, well, maybe I should do something else. And then I decided instead to just maybe say a few words about the process of decluttering. For those of us who start out having a lot of stuff, which I've said before, y'all never saw my house before. You saw it a year into my decluttering process. And it still has taken a while, but I feel like I'm sort of getting to a point where I can start making some logical decisions on where I have things in my house. So, for instance, I'm a cricket. That's what Cass, the clutter bug, that's what she calls it. She has her little clutter bug things, and I fit into the category of somebody who's a cricket. And crickets like to have things a certain way, and so I like to have my things all together. But when you have so much stuff, that's easier said than done sometimes. And there are times when I want things to be in a certain place, but I couldn't put them there because there was something else there. And in order to to put that thing there, I had to move the other thing, but then I had to put it somewhere else, and then I had to move something else to do that. And when you're not decluttering anything, because you don't know about decluttering, then you don't know what to do. You don't know how to do that. So, I know a lot of you who watch my channel, you've already done your decluttering or you're in the process of decluttering, but just in case there are some of you out there who are maybe at the beginning of the journey or fairly early on, or maybe you're just still thinking about you'd want to do it, but you just don't know how. One of the things that I'm finding is that the more I declutter, the more I am able to make those decisions and being able to put things where I really wanted them to be in the first place. Like, I would have loved to have had all my books together in one spot, but I have too many. I don't have a room big enough for all my books. They're still not all together. And I also know that they're not ever going to be all together, because I'm not going to haul all of the books that are upstairs in the spare bedroom. I'm not going to haul them all downstairs and put them in the basement. And I'm not going to haul those books from the basement upstairs just to put them in the spare bedroom. No, I'm going to declutter more books and hopefully get it down to where I have a reasonable amount, and then I can have them all together, or at least, the majority of them. I might have some in a room here or there, but I mean the majority of the bigger amount of them, I'd like to have those all together. I didn't want my books to be spread all over and stored in bins and all that stuff, but they had to go somewhere. I had so many books. There are boxes of books stacked, plus shelves full of books, plus books in drawers. I mean, I just had so many books, and I still have a lot of books. And so it's sort of like when I've read that Marie Kondo thing, and she says you have to pull out all the stuff of that particular category and pile it up in a thing and see it all at once. That was impossible for me. There was no way I was going to be able to do that. But as I've continued decluttering, I feel like maybe someday I might get to the point where I could say, yeah, there are my books. I can go through them all. I can have them all in one spot. I can see how many I have, and I can make decisions. But I was not in that position. And it wasn't just books. Everything in my house, everything that I own was like that. And it's like I didn't have space in my house to even pull out one category of something and go through it. I didn't have space to move around to go through things. And I think that when we haven't started decluttering, we maybe sometimes don't ever see that may be a possibility, that we'll ever have that ability to do that. But now I see that coming. I see that happening for me, and it's not my whole house yet, but I'm getting there. And so when I look at when I was editing this particular video, and it was like, okay, I had those books in the basement, and I went through them, and they were on a shelf. And I put the ones that I kept on a shelf. And then I moved them from that shelf over to another shelf because I wanted to put the cleaning stuff all together in a shelf. And I wanted it on that shelf, not on that other shelf. So I could have cleaned off that other shelf and put them there, but I didn't want them there. I wanted them on that shelf. So I had to move the books. Well, I wasn't ready to go through those books again, and I'm still not, because you go through stuff, and then you go through stuff again, and you go through stuff again, and that's sort of the process of letting go. And so it's like, okay, but I want to go through the cleaning things now. I didn't really go through them. I just wanted to get them so I can go through them. I need to be able to see them. I'm not ready yet to make decisions on them, but I need to see them. I need those seeds to be planted. I need to see my cleaning stuff, get it out of the boxes and all that. So I'd already gone through those books. Now I'm moving those books to another shelf, and then I put the cleaning stuff in there. But all the cleaning stuff didn't fit. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would have said, well, then you need to get rid of some so that you can only have it in this area. But when you're not ready to make those decisions yet, you don't know which ones to keep in order to fit them there. And so some of these things and they make total sense. Okay, they do make total sense. But when you're not ready for it yet, you don't know how to make that decision. And telling someone to make that decision based on this criteria, this method, when they're not ready yet, can stop them. They cannot make the decisions if they're not ready to make the decisions. And so I want my cleaning stuff to be not on both of those shelves. I want my cleaning stuff to be maybe on one shelf, maybe not even a whole shelf. But all of it didn't fit on those two, so I put some on another couple of shelves. Well, now I've moved those books again. I moved them to another shelf, a shelf I just cleaned out, right? So ideally, I would have liked to have had all of those books in that one room. That's where I wanted them. But I couldn't just go, hey, let me just take all my books and put them in there, because the shelf was full of other stuff that I hadn't yet dealt with. And yeah, it would have made total sense to go in there and just deal with it and do it, but that's not how it really works. I had to deal with those things as I could, and then the other stuff, I had to deal with those as I could. So everything had to kind of go. It's like a Tetris puzzle. And if you don't have more stuff than you have space and room, you might not understand. But for those of you who have been in the position of there's stuff over here I need to go through, and there's stuff over here I need to go through, and there's stuff over there I need to go through, and there's stuff everywhere that I need to go through. And I want this to be over here, but I can't put it there because that's over there. And I can't just get rid of that because it's something I do want to keep, but I don't have anywhere to put it because it needs to go over there, but there's something over there too. And so that's the whole house is like that, right? And when you go and you look at it, it's like, the only way to deal with it all is just to do. But really what you got to do is you got to learn how to declutter. And that's a process. It's not something that you just go in and go, okay, well, this guru, I call them, this guru told me to do this, or this guru told me to do that. It makes sense, but you have to get there. You have to be able to get there for yourself. It doesn't matter how many times any of us on YouTube tells you to do something. If you have to get there yourself, and you have to grow into it. And what I don't want you to do is stop because you don't think you're going to do it perfectly. If it takes you 10 steps to get there, so be it. So I cleared out some of those books, put them on that shelf, and then another time I moved them to this other shelf I emptied out, and now I've moved those books to another shelf that I emptied out. And guess what? I'm not going to keep all those books. I know I'm not going to keep all those books, but I'm not ready to go through and let go of more of them yet. I'm just not there yet. I mean, that's just how it is. So for me, I just want to reach out to those of you who are still new in the journey and you just don't see it yet. And you look at us here on YouTube and you say, you know, you just really don't understand me. You just really don't understand. No, I understand. This did not happen for me overnight. I'm still not perfect at it. But when somebody tells me that I have to put everything in one bin, I'm a grown-up. If I want 2 bins, I'm having 2 bins. Okay, I understand the spirit of it, but I also understand that when I have 36 bins of Christmas stuff, actually I probably had 40. When I have 40 bins of Christmas stuff, and I've already decluttered 4 of it before I really started decluttering, and then I've got 36 and I take it down by half, I'm going, that's pretty good. But it's going to take me a while to do more, right? So when I have, like 400 Christmas books, and I get it down to a certain amount, I'm not going to tell myself I have to have 1 bin. And if it don't all fit in 1 bin, then I got to get rid of some more. No, I'm keeping what I want to keep. And then go of some more, and eventually, maybe I'll get it down to one bin. But I'm not going to tell myself that today I have to get it down to one bin, because I'm not ready yet. If I get it to one bin, yoo-hoo, great. Same thing with my shelves. If I can get all those books down to one shelf, great. If I can get all my cleaning stuff down to one shelf, yoo-hoo, great. But I'm not going to walk into it saying, this is what I have to do, because I'm not there yet. When I don't have as much stuff in my house, when I have finished my initial decluttering purge, I think I'll be ready for that. I think I'll be able to go, you know what? This is all I need. This is all I want. And I'm ready to make those decisions. And I'm ready to let go. But I don't want any of you to let any of those things stop you. If you want to do one bin, if you want to do one shelf, if you want to do, 5 clothes in your closet, whatever you want to do, if that works for you, then by golly, you do that. But if that sort of thing is stopping you, if that sort of thing is making you feel like you're doing it wrong, if that's making you feel guilty, if it's making you let go of stuff that you are not ready to let go of, then I don't want that for you. Because it is a journey, it is a learning experience, it is an adjustment. And if you are learning this, you don't want to do it on someone else's thing. You've got to learn it in your own self, because if you don't, then you could fall backward, because you haven't really learned yet. You haven't really let go of that old mindset yet. I want you to not just take on the methods. There's nothing wrong with the methods, but you have to grow into them. I mean, that's how I feel about it. If you don't have an attachment to things, then you very well may be able to say, I'm just one bin, that's it, I'm good. But if you have an attachment to things, you have to kind of explore why. And so one of the things for me, and it kind of comes up because I'm going through my books, and today's was moving the books once again, some of the books. I have a lot of books still. But it was like, why do I have so many books? One of the things we start out with is our why. Why do we have, why do we keep, why do we do this? And then after you start decluttering, it's like, why let it go? Why did I let it go? But the focus shifts, and that's a good thing, because you get caught up in the whys. What happened to me that I'm keeping this? These are my reasons. You don't understand me. These are my reasons that I keep all these things. But when you get started with the decluttering, you kind of forget all that, and really then you just focus on, I'm letting go of this because, I'm letting go of this because. And so the focus shifts in a good way, but you got to get there. So I was thinking about, okay, so I'm letting go of my books. It's not always easy. I mean, I know I make it look easy, but it is not. And the follow through can be very difficult. I mean, I might be able to make that decision, like I'm going to declutter that book, but every time I let one go, it's like letting it go and letting it go 3 times. It is not easy. But I thought, why do I have so many, and why do I hang on to them? Books have a lot of knowledge. They have art. They have all kinds of things. But I think a big one for me is books were my friend. When I was a little girl, I didn't have friends. I still don't have a lot of friends, but I didn't have friends. And I always felt insecure, still do, but I always felt insecure, and I always felt ugly and alone. And books don't tell you you're ugly, and they don't tell you, that you're not alone when you have a book. And it was the only thing I could do. It was like I wasn't talented with anything else, but I could read. And so books were my friend, and books didn't tell me that I sounded funny. Tom Sawyer told me it was okay to talk like that. I used to have a much deeper accent than I do now. And because I was born in Kentucky. I was 7 when we moved, but for some reason I kept a lot of my accent, and it's not as strong as it used to be, but it does come out sometimes. But I was made fun of for my accent. I was told I was ugly because I had glasses. I was told I was ugly because I had freckles. I was told everything imperfect about me. And it's taken me a long time to be okay with that. So I realized that books were the thing that didn't tell me all those things. Books accepted me as I was. And so I don't know why now I'm able to let them go. You know, I don't know why. But I don't need them to tell. I don't need them to not tell me that anymore. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. But I don't need that. I don't need books for that reason anymore. They've served their purpose for me. So they still do that. You know, they still don't tell me I'm ugly. And they still don't tell me I, you know, sound funny. They don't tell me any of that. But I don't need that now anymore. So I'm able to let them go. But whatever you've got, you know, whatever it is, if you've got something that you're hanging on to and it's more than you can handle, like I had way more books than I can handle. And that's one of the reasons I'm letting them go. But I'm able to let them go now. I already knew I had more than I could handle. But only now am I able to actually let them go. And so, I don't know, this is just probably a big long ramble, but I don't know, for some reason, I just wanted to say that for those of you who are out there and you just have so much stuff that you just don't even know how or where to start, just start somewhere. Start with your trash. I do agree with that. Start with your trash. If that's what you've got, start with the things that are broken. Start with the things that you are ready to say goodbye to. If you look at that thing and there's something about it that you're just kind of like, you know, I really don't need that anymore. I really don't like that. I never liked that. Whatever it is, if there's a little inkling in yourself, and if that little thing pops in your head and says, but maybe I can use it for this, have you used it for that? You know, if it's been sitting there and you've been seeing it and you have not used it, then let it go. If it's, you know, I've had things that I've been sitting around here for 10 years or more, and I'm like, but maybe I'll use it. Oh, but I haven't. Those are the things that now I can say, you know what, I'm not going to. But I had to grow into that. So start with the simple stuff. Start with the trash. Start with the broken things. Start with the things that you just don't need, don't use, don't want, and you're ready to let it go. And as you continue doing that, you will find that it gets easier and easier and easier to identify those things. And when you realize that you've let that go and you don't miss it, you don't even remember it a lot of times, but you don't miss it, and your life isn't worse without it, and in fact, maybe it's even better, that starts motivating you. And if you just do a little at a time, you know, you don't have to go in and do everything. Just do a little at a time and start feeling comfortable with it. And that helps you to grow into being able to let go of even more, because you start trusting that it's okay. You start trusting that what you have is enough. And you start realizing that some of that stuff is extra and it's actually not benefiting you. It's actually causing you harm. So anyway, I'm going to stop there because now I've rambled for 20 minutes. I don't know. I may cut some of this out, but I don't know. I had like a 3-minute video. So now I got a big long one. But if this looks okay, you're going to be seeing it. And I thank you and appreciate you guys. Thank you for sitting and listening to me ramble on about this. I hope it makes some sense. I really don't know. And as y'all know, I don't plan this stuff out. I just sit down and start talking. And sometimes I ramble on for a while. I usually cut it out or just don't even put it on a video. But I might just put this one on this video. So if I do, hi. See you next time. Bye. Since I moved this over here and I moved that over there, I can finally put these other things away. Things that didn't have a home will have a place to call their own. And anything that doesn't stay. I'll be shuffling around all the random things I've found, gathering together like with like. I'm creating empty spaces, letting go of just in cases, and telling all my clutter, take a hike.
There's my bubby. Did you get your tiny tidy done? Did you get your tiny tidy done today?